The talk line is 800-580-8255. All right, Dan, I know that some of the callers that were chiming in, I know that these folks listened to the morning show yesterday, and they had an opinion about some of the results that you shared. Let's go step by step. Give me some of the numbers. Let's just give me as much as you can from this poll that was taken by the LIBRE Initiative of Hispanic communities nationwide. We're talking politics, and we're talking economic point of view.
Sure. I think the highlights is that we asked questions that were maybe non-conventional, that they're not usually asked. And we want to take the sentiments of Hispanic community as how they feel on the economy. Because, they're always asked about immigration and politics. So what we asked was, do you feel things in the country are going in the right direction, or do you feel things have gotten off on the wrong track? 51%, a majority, said that we were off on the wrong track. Florida rated highest at 53%. Hispanics there. And then we asked, would you say that you approve or disapprove of the job President Obama is doing handling the rising gas prices? 52% said they disapprove of the way he's managing gas prices. 58% in Nevada, which I thought was a pretty a spike in the result. Mm-hmm. Then we asked, I think a very important question. Do you think you will reach, as you define it, the American dream in your lifetime, or have you already achieved it? 53% says they have already achieved it. And the other 25%, they say they will achieve it. You're looking at, what, a 78%
wow.
rate there that says that they have or will. But then take a look at the next question. Do you believe that the next generation of Americans will be better off financially than the current generation? Uh-oh. Will they achieve the American dream? The majority, 52%, said no, they will not.
You should have parsed that one out a little bit more.
Well, it's interesting. What I find fascinating about that is that they've lost optimism for the future.
For their kids.
For their kids. Exactly right. America will not be the same. And what's really interesting is like, what they had said is, do you believe that the government can help, in this thing? They said less government is actually better. 56%, a majority said, get government out of the way, and maybe we can have them achieve the American dream.
What was it? Less government? What was that total? The one that believed in less government?
52%. A majority.
Same consistent
Yep,
number.
exactly. But I think this was the question that really sort of set that question up. It says, compared to 4 years ago, do you believe it is easier or harder for Hispanics and Latinos to open up a business in America today? A majority, 51%, said it is harder now than it was 4 years ago to open up a business. The government regulation, the government overspending, the deficit, the debt, the piling on, the taxation, exactly,
Obamacare, the
is making them less free.
The
exactly.
Yeah.
The rules are getting tougher, and it's becoming harder for Latinos to risk capital.
You know what I find striking? The question that asks, do you believe your children, your grandchildren, the next generation, all these opportunities will still be there? 52 for a majority to say no.
Yeah, we're a very optimistic community.
Yeah, I've got to confess. Look, maybe it's because I'm a cynic and I look at the world through this media prism, and I've been doing this just far too long, and I get too much information. And perhaps, those who say that ignorance is bliss and happiness, maybe I would be happier not knowing stuff like this, what happens on a day-to-day basis, and all the waste and fraud and cronyism. Whether it's on the left or the right, all the stuff that takes place in Washington. And yes, I'm in that group that says I don't for our son Noah and our son Elam, who's on the way, I don't believe that America. I'm in that group.
But I bet you're also in the group that thinks that decline is not inevitable. That we can turn this around.
Well,
that if we turn back to freedom, we can turn this direction that we're on around.
I'm in the camp that believes that I need to fight and do whatever.
And that's why we need to rise up. That's why we need to advance the cause of freedom.
I'm not going to stay silent. I'm not going to stay on the sideline.
Sergio, you talk about liberal media and stuff like that, and I understand what you're saying, and it is very much a variable here. But in spite of media that shoves the immigration argument and tries to polarize us down our throats, we asked also, what would you say is the most important problem facing the United States today? The number one answer was the economy and unemployment and jobs at 51%. Everything else paled in comparison. It broke down to 3 to 5%, 5%. Immigration was 2%. Despite what the media tells us and the conversation that it's trying to drive within the Hispanic community, they understand that it is about jobs. It's about real solutions, real jobs, real prosperity. That's what we should be going after. And then they said, what is the second most? And all the other ones that had said, that had put something else in front, put the economy as the second most. So it's like 90% said the economy was either number one or number two. They get it. Hispanics get it. But apparently there's an incoherency as to who they attribute the blame to.
I'm dumbfounded.
You know what we heard from them in focus groups?
Who's to blame?
They're saying Republican obstructionism. They're not letting the president advance his agenda. He's trying.
Well, that Democrat
talking. Let him please pass these collectivist policies, these big government spending programs. Tax the rich. Even if you taxed the 400 richest Americans, by the way, you could not cover the deficit for this year alone. If you took all of their money.
$1.5 trillion in debt this year alone, kids.
Yes.
1.5.
If you confiscated all of the wealth of the 400 richest Americans, you wouldn't even get close to paying that. And yet that's his answer.
And that's just 1 year of debt. Take all the wealth. Doesn't even get close to paying it down. And next year, we have an equal amount, $1 and some odd trillion. The year after that, probably $1, possibly $2 trillion. We are in a collision course to disaster. We are on a collision course to collapse, economic collapse. People wake up. Collectivist ideals. That's the problem. That's what got us into this problem. And crony capitalism. Welfare.
Well, it's not. Look, I don't like crony capitalism because capitalism should not be faulted here. It's government cronyism.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. We've talked about this before.
Yes.
To use the word capitalism with cronyism is wrong.
It's a bad association.
Yeah, because people,
that's not capitalism.
That's not capitalism. Thank you. Crony government. Cronyism, government policies.
Government cronyism.
That gives to this industry
political favors
to these farm to this farm group.
They cannot say no to interest groups.
Whether it's green energy, whether it's oil energy, it doesn't matter. The trough is not meant for that.
Exactly.
It's national defense. Outside of that, protecting the country, dude. We got to go back to the local level. That's pretty much.
But also, the small business owner cannot compete, with other people that are going directly to government officials and asking them for exemptions, for political favors, for grants,
they
subsidies.
use the muscle of government to get rid of competitors.
Right. That is not capitalism. That's corruption.
Yeah,
that has to be understood. Look, I just want to say this in parentheses. We are nonprofit. We are nonpartisan. We're not saying, hey, lean towards the Republicans or lean towards the Democrats. All we want is for President Obama to get away from growing government, turn from that. And if he would do that, then we would support his policies. But at this point, we cannot support further increase of government.
He would be the greatest president of all time. He would be greater than Ronald Reagan if he advocated for individual liberty.
But he is not.
But he's not.
And that's been very clear with his policies.
You got numbers that make no sense. You got a culture and community.
Well, you can tell we have our work cut out for us.
We need less government, but at the same time, they're saying, you know what, we blame the Republicans, or we don't connect these problems to the president. I think that's
because, like you say, the mainstream media and even the Hispanic media has monopolized the discourse within the Hispanic community on the sole issue of immigration, a very important issue, of course. But look, we have to expand that conversation, amongst ourselves and say, hey, you know what really matters here? It is the policies that is impacting our economy, that is hindering the achieving the American dream for us and for our children. We need bipartisanship here. We need folks to come together and drive a free market, free enterprise ideas, not the big government stuff that they've been forcing down our throats and is killing us.
I've got some Ron Paul literature and bumper stickers I'd like to share with you before you leave the show today. Perhaps I could.
We're not partisan.
Bring you. Oh, I see. All right. I still have the stuff. Maybe you can give it to Mickey. Give it to Michaela and the family. They could be.
Love her.
Yeah, that's his wife. All right. Your call's at 800-580-8255. 800-580-8255. You want me to take any of this stuff, Joe? Or you? Oh, he's working on it. I know the phones are ringing right down. Don't let him. Hey, Joe. Don't let him suck up all your time. Just name a number, whatever. And let's go and take care of business because we're running out of time. Line one. Who are we talking to? Welcome to 710 KURV. Go ahead. Get your thoughts in real quick. Go ahead, Jack.
Very quickly, I'd like to ask your guest, how do you feel about the Tea Party? And down here it would be the McAllen Tea Party, but the Tea Party across the fruited plain, I think that's where it's at. I think that's where the American people are speaking to the questions of our day.
And they're so active in providing making a difference, I'd like to think, at least in the upcoming elections. They did a couple of years back. Thank you, Jack. So what do you think?
I appreciate the contributions. I appreciate their voice and I think more than anything, what impresses me about folks from the Tea Party is how aligned they are with constitutional principles, and that they stick to the Constitution, and that the call really is for congressmen and senators to filter everything they do through the constitutional limitations, into the enumerated limitations of the Constitution, which they are not doing. This whole Obamacare thing that is now being considered in the courts, I hope can get America back on track and send a clear lesson to Congress that they have overstepped their bounds, their constitutional bounds. And I do appreciate the voice of the Tea Party and that they're out there.
There's a rally today, by the way, Jack reminded me, in Brownsville, that version of the Tea Party. Some of those patriots going out to Linear Park across the street from the zoo today at 3 p.m., 3 to 5, I believe. They're going to be holding a rally, Taxed Enough Already rally, a Tea Party rally in Brownsville, and hope you can stop by with the kids and do your part and network with like-minded citizens. Again, 3 p.m. today at Linear Park in Brownsville. Let's pay some bills. I'm Sergio Sanchez. This is Saturday Open Phones on News Talk 710 KURV, live at KURV.com. My guest this hour, and we'll close out this hour of the show with more information on a new poll from